Hey gang, this week I'm talking to my good friend Julia Lashay Israel. I got to work with her for several years when she served at Keller Williams as our Director of Inclusion, and got to see her navigate some really tough times, and she's got amazing leadership. Today, she's written a book. She is a keynote speaker, and one of her big focuses is on resilience. She's been through some incredibly tough times, and trigger warning, she is going to talk about the loss of a child in this episode. But she's also going to talk about the tools that she's learned on how to be a more resilient leader and how to show up better, and how she's teaching that all across the country. I think there's great stuff in this episode. I hope that you'll take away at least one thing on how you can be a more resilient leader, a more resilient person in your life. I'm Jay Papazan, and this is The One Thing, your weekly guide to the simple steps that lead to extraordinary results. Julia, welcome to the show.
Jay, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I've never been on the One Thing podcast. Long-time listener, first-time visitor.
And we've been like podcast partners. Like I was working with your team when y'all were building out y'all's podcast, The Color of Money. And we got to work together for how many years?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been
probably
like 6 years.
I think 6 years.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to explore some of your wisdom. Lately, you've been speaking and talking a lot about resilience. And I love that topic for our audience. We've got a lot of business owners. And business ownership, that's easy, right? No need any resilience for that. I mean, it's hard. Like stuff happens, people leave, competitors show up we don't expect. And so resilience is something that we need to be focused on so that we can get through the tough times to get to the rewards. What started you down this journey?
Well, many things. I think I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life, and I've seen a lot of things, and I've experienced a lot of things. And I learned that most people, entrepreneurs, don't fail because of lack of opportunities. They just don't have a foundation strong enough to withstand the adversity or the market shift or the challenge, and they stop building.
Wow.
And they give up, they lose their momentum, and they don't have the skills to stay in the game, whatever game they may be playing. So being that I've experienced plenty of challenges my own self, I used it kind of as fuel to help other people in those scenarios.
I love that.
Yeah, where they can also maybe learn from my experience, because I don't want the challenges I've been through to be wasted. At least you can help someone else going through a similar thing.
I share that philosophy. I do think as leaders, and you're a leader, I think we have a responsibility when we go through a tough moment. Sometimes we need some distance, right? So we can get some perspective. But how do we take the lessons from that? Not just to serve ourselves in the future, but to serve other people. And it might be that we're not leading an organization, but we're a parent. Like, can we pass those lessons in a way to our kids, right? So you've had a life of lessons.
I have had a life of lessons. Yes, that's one way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, as a learning-based individual. So like without going super deep, but like I know that you've lost people you love. You've dealt with hardships in business. Can we just get a quick snapshot just so people understand, like you're coming from this from a very real place?
Absolutely. I talk about in the Keep Building talk, I talk a lot about my experience. I got licensed when I was 18 years old.
Okay.
And I bought my first house when I was 19. And by the time I was 23, I had 6 properties, property management company. I was doing well.
You came out of the gate strong.
I did. And then 2008 happened.
Okay.
And I lost all of the properties. I had to file bankruptcy.
For those of you who are too young or who are blessed with a short memory, we're talking about the Great Recession, which hit a lot of folks hard.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And as a real estate agent at that time, it was incredibly difficult. So that was my first major loss, just financially losing things.
Oof.
And having to start over. But then I also have
You said that you actually had to declare bankruptcy during that period
I did,
of years?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, how do you mentally weather that? Because I know a lot of people, it is there for a reason. It allows businesses to fail.
Yeah. And I didn't see it that way. It was embarrassing. You know, a lot of people are embarrassed by it. Also, I couldn't see another way out where I could get a clean start.
That's the whole point, though. I think a lot of people see it as a sentence on them as an entrepreneur, not a reset.
Yeah,
and
it
it's
was
there
definitely a reset.
because if it, in the absence of that, people can never get out from under the mistakes they made the first time to start again. And if you look at the most successful entrepreneurs, there's usually a long series of failures to get them there. Maybe not resulting in that far, but like by design, bankruptcy is not to be abused, but it is a tool to allow people a second chance.
Absolutely.
But
And I
mentally,
was
it's
young,
tough.
so I got
Yeah.
a lot of life left, and obviously I made a lot of mistakes. So it was an opportunity to have a second chance and start over. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also share in that many years later, my son passed away from cancer. He came home from
Ugh.
college with a pain in his leg. He was an athlete,
Yeah.
and they just were telling me, oh, it's some sort of athletic pain, but it actually turned out to be a tumor. And when he came home, he was late stage 4, and there wasn't anything that we could do for him. And he passed away 4 months after just being diagnosed with cancer. And so obviously, that was a major challenge
I
in
mean,
life.
how does a parent, and you were a single parent at the time, how do you even, I mean, you had another child. I mean, maybe that's the answer. Like, how do you continue to function when you go through something that hard?
You say you had another child. My other child, he began to self-medicate as a result. So it was an incredibly challenging situation. And honestly, there's a tool or a template. Some people may be familiar with it. A GPS, a 411.
We teach it, and the people who listen to this podcast have heard those words,
That's
right?
fantastic. I
Yes.
actually used that because obviously grief is a real thing,
Yes.
and depression is a real thing. These are real things that happen in real
That
life.
happened to strong
Yeah.
people.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And so I used those tools to just, it's like an emotional regulation. You feel the pain, you feel the all of it, but you can't stay there. I knew I couldn't stay in it forever,
Mhm.
and I wanted to do something. So I'd set a goal,
Right?
and I would use the 411 to just put something on there. Now, I wasn't going to be able to accomplish all the things that I used to accomplish prior to the grief, but I would put like go to the grocery store as my top 20%. Like,
Yeah.
because getting out of the bed and getting dressed and going to the grocery store was like a big deal. Call the telephone company. And I would literally make a 411 and check off a couple of things. And they'd be small things. Like, I went to the grocery store. Boom. I called the people, like, you did that, girl. You
Yeah.
did. And then that'd be it. That's it. That's all I can do this
Celebrate it
week.
a little bit. And I mean, I say people are familiar. GPS is a one-page business plan, and the 411 is how a lot of us track our 20%, which is the big rocks, the things that are important.
Which is why I
And
made
a
it
lot
is
of
to
people
say,
would say
like,
the grocery store
is not a 20%
is a
thing.
task.
Correct.
But like when you're in a state where functioning, right, is tough, like I think that a lot of times people, they want to do big things, and you'd done big things up to 26 years. You'd started business and you'd done all these things. And now these feel so small and inconsequential. We do have to give ourselves credit for progress.
Absolutely. I'd pat myself on the back and maybe this week I did 2 things, next week I'll do 3.
Right.
And I literally slow walked it until I was back building businesses and running businesses and doing all the things. But I actually used those tools as a way to get out of whatever emotional state that you might be in so that I didn't get stuck there.
Right.
I didn't want to live in that space. I feel it, but you got to figure out how to put one foot in front of the other.
A lot of people tell us in that moment, there's a silver lining to this or whatever. And I've been told that in those moments, not my own version of yours. And you just want to slap them. You're like, I know you mean well, but I'm not ready to receive that. But with enough distance and perspective, there are lessons to learn. And you've learned a few and you're sharing them now.
Yeah, well, there's a pastor, T.D. Jakes. He had a sermon one time, and he said, "Nothing you've been through will be wasted." And
Mm.
so I really took that to heart and meant like all of my life challenges, all of the lessons, none of those are for naught. There is something that I can offer to someone else. Like I just finished speaking to a room full of people about resilience. And every time someone comes and says, thank you for sharing that, I was stuck here, but now that I've heard that. And so I use those experiences and those challenges to help other people get past things that I've already been through because it's not for a waste. There's a reason and a purpose still to everything that we encounter in life,
I love it. Even if they hear the tools and they're not even ready yet to do more than go to the grocery store, it gives them hope when someone else shares and is willing to be transparent about their journey and that they've gotten to the other side. Because most of the time when someone walks up and you're giving a keynote, like if you're watching us on YouTube, you're dressed like $1,000,000.
Thank you.
Right? You show up like, wow, that person must be so successful. And they tell themselves this story that success is a series of successes, not a series of failures and humblings and obstacles that we actually have to overcome to get there.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
in that sharing, you're like, oh, they are a lot like me and I can get there too. So thank you for the bravery to get to the other side to share. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And it's therapeutic in a way as well, right? To be able to share with someone that I did make it, and here's how you can too, and here's how you can continue to build, and here's how you can overcome challenges. They can be done, and there's some therapy in that
Yeah, yeah. Which we will not pretend to be therapists, but we can offer some
at all. I
solutions.
am
Yeah.
wildly unqualified, friends. I am not qualified as anyone's there. Let's just make this clear at all.
So you kind of shared your first steps were around like giving yourself clear, concrete goals so that you could start measuring, like, I am making some progress. You've now got distance, and I know that you've got some strategies that you share when you talk about this using the one thing. We always ask, like, if we're going to start somewhere, if now that you have distance and perspective, if someone were in a similar spot, where would you say to start? What's the one thing to focus on if you've been in a rough patch and you're trying to emerge?
I would say to start with your purpose and your passion.
Okay.
And they say there's the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why.
Right. Everybody says
Yeah.
that's Mark Twain, but I looked it up.
I have
and
no idea who
he
it is.
never
Who is
said
it?
that, but he's so clever. They
Who
all
said
say,
it?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, so
I think it's
that's
one of
why I
those
said
that
they say. I don't know who they is.
well,
but
you're smart because like it's Churchill, Mark Twain, and like Abraham Lincoln. It's like they said a lot of good things, but I love the quote because there is truth, right? The day you're born, and then the day you find out why.
and that purpose, your why, it fuels everything you do. When you're able to identify the purpose and you can tie a vision and a mission to that, it fuels everything else. It creates a passion. I have a number of things that I think my purpose is, but I also think it is to help inspire and motivate other people to build big lives and big businesses. When you identify what that is, and it's oftentimes something that you're really good at, or something that you spend hours doing and you lose track of time doing it. Like you probably write a lot
Yeah.
and read a lot and you're passionate about those things. When you're able to identify that and build a business and a life
Mhm.
around that, it fuels and drives pretty much everything.
Let's
that you
unpack
do.
that.
Yeah.
So your purpose statement, did you just say it? It just like it came out of your like to help other people?
Yeah, I would call it my mission statement. You know how you have a mission statement for your business and
Yeah.
you have a mission for your life. I would say my mission is to inspire and motivate people to build big lives and big businesses through entrepreneurship and real estate. Yeah.
So in that period of darkness, like could you articulate that then? Like what does it look like to figure that out? Like especially when you're in a dark place, like sometimes thinking about the future
There
is
is
even
no
hard.
future. Yeah.
Right.
I remember going to an event that I've always been at, and they asked the same questions we always ask that now I'd be able to easily answer, and I couldn't answer any of them because I see no hope for the future in this moment. Like I have no idea. They're like, so what is your big why? I don't have one because it used to be my family, but now I was divorced. My child is dead. Like I don't know what my why is anymore. It's shifted. And there's plenty of times in life where it may shift and it may change and your passion may change and you just redefine that and you reevaluate, ask yourself a series of questions and rediscover your purpose and your passion. It can change throughout life. It's not always the same thing, but identifying that really helps to anything that you do in life.
It sounds like we need to give ourselves a little grace and be patient, that it's not like a road to Damascus where the light comes out of the heavens and it just hits you. You've got a eureka.
Yeah, no.
No, it's something
Again,
that,
depression is a very real thing. Grief is a very real thing. And it's okay to feel those feelings. And how do we move forward, so that you don't get stuck in it?
I would suggest, and I would love for someone, I know you teach a lot of people and you help a lot of people. I know a lot of research suggests in the absence of knowing what to do, helping other people is one of the most proven ways to feel better about yourself. Like it literally, people who donate their time live longer. Like they've talked about the act of giving is not that altruistic because it's so beneficial.
Yeah,
So
I love that you said that because the only reason I started using the 411 as my tool to move forward was because I was in a group of women and another lady had lost her child and she said, she posted a picture of herself. This is what I looked like before my son died. And this is what I looked like after. Well, the before picture, she had like combed her hair and got dressed. And in the after picture, she hadn't. So I started coaching these women. I said, I have a suggestion. Why don't we today just like get dressed?
okay.
That's it. Let's just do that
Most
today.
fundamental self-care. We're
Yeah,
just
like
gonna help ourselves look presentable.
And so I found myself coaching these other women. And then I said, I recommended you should use this tool, which is how I ended up using the tool, is because I was in the process of trying to help someone else
Right.
and ultimately ended up helping myself. Yes. Yeah.
Well, there's great truth, and I hope people will just recognize that. If you really, really aren't clear, you'll never regret exploring just helping other people. Even if you feel unqualified, going in, go into a soup kitchen, like ladle some soup, right? Go volunteer at your church. Go do something, because there is something soul giving and life affirming about helping other people that creates just a little bit of positive momentum.
That's awesome. Absolutely. I love that.
All right. Well, we need to take a little break. So we'll take a quick break. And on the other side, I want to unpack some other strategies, because I know you've got more.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. So in the first half, we kind of unpacked some of your journey where you started to explore this. And we talked about how the power of purpose, mission, and if those are just not clear, maybe just helping other people. What are some other things we can do to maybe find our resilience to kind of keep moving forward? Because, like something you said in the beginning, it's not for lack of opportunity that business owners don't hit their goals or find success. It's about their resilience and making it through these tough times that allows them to kind of reap the rewards of all the hard work that they do.
Well, yeah, a couple of other ones. One for sure is embracing failure as a learning lesson. Like we talked about me filing bankruptcy. I could have saw that as a failure. Not really. Learn from that. Never did that again.
Okay.
Never
Yeah.
did that again. And you failure's part of it. It is an inevitable part of the entrepreneurial journey. If you think you're going to build some massive anything and not have, I don't even call them failures, but learning lessons along the way, you're fooling yourself. It is a series of mistakes that you turn into learning lessons that you say, well, that didn't work. And I know 100 ways that don't work, right? Only because I've actually done them. But you don't learn those lessons unless you actually make the mistakes. People are afraid of making mistakes, so they don't do anything.
It's two lessons I'm hearing here that I think our audience, we have a certain percentage of our audience. We talk about there's doers who need space to dream, like they're always doing, which is a form of hiding sometimes from a bigger picture. And then there's dreamers who need space, make space to do. And in that group, we've got people, they might self-describe as I'm a perfectionist. And the challenge of that is if you're trying to avoid making those mistakes, I want to learn about the mistake before I start, then they're not taking action. And most of the learning does happen in the action phase, not in the planning and the perfection stage. It doesn't happen on the spreadsheet, right? When we think about our success, we see a highlight reel. We don't see everything else that happened, all the stuff that, ends up on the cutting room floor. So I do think we have to understand that if you understand that failure is part of the game, it is part of the price of admission for business ownership and big success. Now, learning from those lessons. All right. So if I can be brave enough to say, I screwed that up, how do I learn from it?
Well, let me analyze what went wrong. Like, what exactly in this did I do? Sometimes people like to point fingers at everyone else, but we always have some DNA in it.
Right.
Like, what
It's
could
what we call
I
being
have done?
accountable, right?
That's what we call being accountable. Yeah. And so, like, what could I have done differently for a different outcome? You have to analyze that. And then learn from the lesson of maybe I could pivot here or shift here, or maybe if I could have said this differently or done this different. Or in some scenarios, you say, you know what? I couldn't have done anything differently. That's just part of it.
One of the lessons I learned from a friend, he's a creator. He just said these people, he was doing a big launch of a course he was trying to sell. And he ends up being a coach to a lot of people who do this. And he goes, one of the things that was hardest for me to accept is that I failed. And it wasn't that I actually did anything wrong. Sometimes you fail just because the timing wasn't right.
100%.
So
Yeah.
like the first time you fail, like maybe if the mistakes are screaming at you, right? You tripped while you were running a race. Okay, that was a mistake. You don't want to repeat that. But if it felt good, maybe you do need to try it a couple of times because it might be the right formula that you're not performing perfectly yet, but you don't know enough to see it. Or it could just be something as simple as timing. So I think this is a skill that you can learn.
It doesn't, it's not the end all. Remember that book I wrote?
Yeah.
I wrote a book, flop, total flop. One, I partnered with the wrong people. Two, it wasn't really my authentic voice. I don't like it. I mean,
Okay.
it's been helping a lot of people. A lot of people, it still helps. It's not something that I would say this is my best work ever. And so some might call that a failure, not me. I learned a lot. I called you. I called Phil Jones. I called a ton of people, and I learned a lot. At first, I was like, I'm never doing that again.
That's a frustrating lesson because it's really hard. I was very proud of you and congratulate you because writing a book is hard.
Yes, it was.
But I know this from my time at HarperCollins, and I just heard this from editors. You would hear them. It's like a lot of times the way someone learns to write a great novel is because they had to write a bad one.
That's right. That's how I
And
feel about it
there's
now.
no other way to learn. And I'm sorry you had to learn that way.
Yep, I learned the hard way. I learned a lot of things the hard way. Lesson nonetheless, right? I actually literally learned a ton from that. So the next book, that is my voice, that is me, that is partnered with right people, is going to be phenomenal, no doubt, but only because I had that experience. Had I not had that experience, one, the next time I wouldn't even be as excited about it as I could have been because I have a lot of experience on what not to do and what I would do differently. So I analyzed what I did wrong, all the things that went wrong. I know what I'll do differently next time. And next time it would be it's just part of it.
Right. I
It's
mean,
just part of it.
as business people, we keep some form of a score, right? A lot of times in book sales, it could be reviews, it could be readers. There's a lot of ways to keep score. Some people talk about dollars, doesn't matter. But we keep score so that we have something to measure success by. Otherwise, it's just how you feel about it. Because when you said my book was a flop, I was like, well, let's define flop. Because your flop,
Yeah, let's
like
not.
the average book sells 150 copies, not 1,000, 150. Did you sell more than 150?
I believe I did.
So you're not a flop.
Yeah. Wow.
In the
That's
grand
incredible.
scheme. But it didn't meet your expectations. And you measured. So as business people, we have to have some way of keeping score because that allows us to ask, well, did we do better the next time? And so that's a part of it. So we got to learn from our failures. I'm going to introduce, and you can tell me if this has been in your experience. A lot of times I'm too close to the problem to see it. And so one of the ways that we can learn from our failures is to get feedback from other people. So you talk to me, you talk to Phil, an accomplished author, my friend Jenny Wood, amazing keynote. She's been on this podcast. She got off the stage and she almost missed her flight because she just wanted me not to tell her how good she was, tell me everything I could have done better. She is committed to being her best version. And so she's seeking an outside perspective because you know what it's like. You're giving a keynote. You're so focused. I actually talked to a professional speaker coach. I said, do people have amnesia on stage? He goes, yeah. And I was like, what is that? I'll come off the stage. And people said, that was so great. And I can't remember a word I said.
At all. It happens to me all the time. What did I say? Yeah.
So sometimes we're in a state, and this is actually the right state. They call it, it's like a part of flow. You are so focused on the thing that you're doing. Your brain is not reserving any resources for recording it. So it's like you have a little blip of time, 45 minutes you were on stage. That's why football players, they watch tape. And they watch it with who?
They watch with the coach.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're saying that because that's my other strategy. It's my last one.
I just,
My last one is surrounding yourself with the right people.
There you go.
Yeah. And so because the right people are going to give you not just opportunities, you've given me opportunities, but also feedback, knowledge, perspective. You have a very different perspective. I didn't even know what I said. You can say, well, what you said was. So I like to bring somebody with me that I know is an authentic feedback provider because a lot of people clap for you. They're all like, oh, that was the best thing I've ever seen.
And that's not to be taken for granted.
No, that's
because
great.
Some people don't even hear the support when it's given. We all need to be nurtured. We need someone who believes in us and tells us they believe in us.
Yes. Yeah, but
And
the
that's
people
so
that surround
important.
you are so incredibly important. But they also, to your point, give you support. So through all of those experiences that I've had, especially when my son was sick, he was sick just 4 short months, but my office, the brokerage, the Keller Williams brokerage I was at the time, in a team meeting, they raised $30,000 so I didn't have to come back to work. And,
Wow.
and I,
Wow, hold on. People need to digest that. This is a small real estate business.
in an hour, they
Okay.
raised $30,000.
And at that moment, now that you can say, oh, the company culture. People did that because they believed and liked and cared about you too.
That's right. That's absolutely
And
what they did.
so it was not
Yeah.
just financial support.
No, my family were like, who are these people? Yeah, where are they coming from? But I mean, all kinds of things. Our house was packed up. I was moving to Texas the day that he was diagnosed, when we found out what's wrong with him. My house was empty. The furniture was gone. A stager came with a truck full of furniture, put furniture in our house. I liked to exercise. That was my healthy thing. I came home one day. My son's like, Mom, you got to come home. I was at the grocery store. They had bought me a Peloton. It was delivered so that I
Oh,
could work out and care for him at home. Like, my support network is like the real deal. And those people, they don't just give opportunity or knowledge or perspective, they give very necessary support. Hands down, without my support network, I would not be anywhere that I am today. So, yes, the people that clap for you when you fall down and you think you failed, I need those people that gas me back up, like, girl, it's
you
because
didn't
you're,
flop,
yeah,
girl. You didn't flop.
yeah, yes. I didn't. 150? Yeah, like you need people that do that support network. So surrounding yourself with those people. Some people aren't surrounded by people like that though,
Right.
you know.
We live in an age where we've never been more connected, and also the feelings of isolation have never been higher. So when we talk about community, it's not just the how many people are following you on Facebook. It's not how many Facebook friends you have. I think that it's something deeper, right? It's the people that maybe you actually get to see or that you can pick up the phone. I work with people and I just love it. It's like my family has tradition every Sunday. We get on Zoom and we talk to each other. We did it in COVID and we just kept doing it. And when I hear like, oh, like every morning I talk to my sister or whatever, they've got community of family and friends. And one of our former guests, a woman named Liz Bohannon, she shared the longitudinal study from Harvard that when they've studied for 80 something years, the thing that correlates most to the longest life, living longest, right? Not dying, is the quality of your community. And it's not just your personal family, it's
Yeah.
friends.
No, definitely. I
This
I
is
believe that
huge.
wholeheartedly. And so for people that don't have that, back to what you said before, is you can be that for someone and build a community that way. Because I understand not having family. I don't have a ton of family, but my friends, my sister friends, like the thicker than blood. Like when I'm really, really down, like we went through a lot of challenges in Minneapolis in January. I just couldn't take it one day. I just jumped on a plane and I found myself in Orlando. And my friends that happened to be there, they came together. We laughed. We sat at the bar. I'm surprised they didn't kick us out. Like but it was just the support of having people that care about you. And they're not my blood family. I don't have a lot of blood family. They're not my blood family. They are friends that I have poured into so that they can pour back into me because I didn't have those people. But you can start by being that person
I
for
love
people.
that. I
Because
love
I,
that.
I know what the whole Lynn talks, Liz Bohannon, excuse me, she talks about the loneliness epidemic.
Yes.
Yeah. And so part of that is that's real
Yeah.
also. And
Especially as business owners,
and I've
right? We
experienced
have to
that.
put a brave
Yes.
face on it with our
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
and that feels even more isolating. If
Yes.
you don't have an outlet, you don't have a true friend that you can go to. And it's like, man, I failed the crap out of today, and I feel horrible, and I need someone to talk to me and maybe lift me back up.
Yep. That network is so important. And if you don't have that, you can be that and build friendships and relationships and community that way. Because I know a lot of people don't have that. But yeah, knowing who you surrounding yourself with the right people, probably I would say should have started with number one because those people are so incredibly impactful. Your circle elevates you. They have a lot to do with your trajectory. And then one of my favorite quotes that I use is if your circle doesn't elevate you, it's not a circle, it's a cage. Yeah. And so how do you get away from those people that are not elevating you, that are not pouring into you, that are draining you, and your circle is not actually helping you get to where you want to go? How do you find a different circle of people?
Okay. So if that circle is not, say
If
that
the
again.
circle is not elevating you, inspiring you, uplifting you, it's not a circle, it's a cage.
Wow. Okay, that's significant. I remember my first kind of connection with that sort of thinking. I can't remember. Maybe it was Dave Jinks, our late writing partner. He was a huge fan of Jim Rohn, and there's a Jim Rohn quote that is Jim Rohn that, and I'm going to butcher it, but he did say something like this, that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time
Absolutely.
with.
Yes.
And the whole call there was you can love people and they can be family even, but you don't have to give them that much time. You can start investing your time with people that help you grow and help you move forward. And just, it's about being a little bit maybe more selective. And I think that's been a big part of my journey when I went through my toughest times is I realized my coach, our project, we said, we're going to re-engineer your village. You need to be purposeful about picking the people that you're going to surround yourself with so that they're supporting you and they're there for you.
I love that.
But I think you've topped it all. Go first.
Well,
Go first. Be that for someone else.
absolutely. And by the way, I don't know who gave the the quote, I think it was Nipsey Hussle, I'm not sure, but the Cage quote, I don't know. But also my pastor used to have on his desk, it says, if you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. Right? Yeah. So like I also live by that because maybe your family or whatever, find a different circle.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you can't still love your family.
Love them from over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe from another town.
Yep. Definitely another town. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, we have to wrap it up.
Sure. Yeah,
and I know
you.
that when you travel the country and you share this message in a keynote, you've got a lot more to share. But thank you for sharing what you did today.
Thank you for allowing me to share.
So you were that for a lot of people listening today. And I think
you.
they're going to reach out and say, I needed to hear that today.
Good.
So thank you. You're living your mission right now.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it.
What's one challenge that we can give the people listening that maybe need to take action on what they've heard? What's one small thing they can do this week?
I don't know if it would even be small. It's kind of a big task, but I would at least start down the journey of determining what your mission is. Like often as business people, we know what our mission statement is for our business, but what's the mission for your life?
Okay.
I think once you identify that, and that's like maybe not a small one thing, but once you identify that one thing, everything else kind of falls in place.
When we teach and coach people, that's great wisdom. And it's even if it takes you a long time, it's the ultimate payoff because that's the thing that pulls you forward. Purpose allows us something to pull us on our dark days. It gets us out of bed when we don't want to get out of bed. It's a worthwhile journey. And we teach people to start with our core values, which is one of our core things that we train. Like a good little gateway drug to our purpose. And you can do that in 30 minutes. So I would tell people to go check that out if they want to.
Absolutely. I've done that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Again, thank you, Julia.
Thank you, Jay.
You've really poured into our audience. I really appreciate you as a human being.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Back at you. Thanks, everyone.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not Productive or Keller Williams Realty LLC and their affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information.